to present, 15 minutes for the Q&A session. Then there's going to be 10 minutes of deliberations where both judges and participants are going to be in their own separate rooms. And at the end of the 10 minutes, we come back into the main room for a 10-minute feedback period. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? It's good for everyone? Okay, so when you guys are ready, you guys can start. I'm going to show you these placards to tell you how much time you have left for your presentation or Q&A or whatever we're doing. Perfect. So when you guys are ready.
I'm going to just share my screen.
Good luck.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Shakira, are you ready?
Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. Meet you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Quesada. I am a civil engineering student, and my partner is Shaket Levy. She's doing aerospace engineering, and we're going to present you about ALER. So first of all, we want to explain this case. The MTC is the Montreal Transit Commission. It operates a complex network of buses, streetcars, subways, paratransit services. It's currently #2 largest urban transit system in Canada. And the usual customers, they usually pay in cash, in tokens and transit passes, and they're trying to implement a new method of payment, which is the ALER's devices, which is a smart card payment. So during this process, we found that some of the issues they're having are broken ALER devices, the technology problems, the operators of the vehicles, they're not comfortable with this change from cash payments to this new technology. And the software and hardware network problems are common, and we're trying to see how to improve in these topics. So due to these current problems, we can understand that this will give a negative impression, a negative perception to the customers, and they will not be keen to switch to this new payment method, and they will still use the cash and tokens as their preferred payment method. MTC is expecting an increment from the current 10% of the users of ALER from year 2020 to 80% by year 2025. And if the issues that are presenting with the technological part and the other problems, they will not be able to reach the desired 80%. So this could be a revenue impact. Currently, 10% of these MTC users are paying with the ALER devices, and they're projected to have an increment to 15% in year 2021, to then 20%, and so on and so forth till 2025, which they will have 80%. If these issues are not fixed, we will not reach these projected numbers. We can have a loss of maybe 3% the first year, and then 5%. And at the end, we're not going to get to the 80%, but we're going to get to 65%, which is not good.
Okay, so the first problem that we chose to face with and to approach is the thing that the MTC vehicles operators are not comfortable with the switch to using smart card payments, and therefore the customers won't be able to use it in the vehicles of the operators and won't be able to assist them.
This problem causes an interference between the customers and the vehicle operators. They cannot be able to provide the proper information on how to use the card, and it creates misinformation between customers and the clients.
Right. So the first proposition that we wanted to offer is training the MTC vehicle operators on how to use Aler's technology in order to make them comfortable with smart card payments, and at the same time when they will be trained and will feel comfortable with the usage of this smart payment, the interact between the operators and the customers will be much better.
So why we want to make this change? So if we make these training to the vehicle operators, we can create a more comfortable platform and a more comfortable environment to those vehicle operators, and the interaction between the other customers and the MTC vehicle operators will be more efficient, and we can also avoid the misinformation from the customers are having from the vehicles operators, because they do not really know how to use these system so far. So it will make this experience more comfortable for both of the customers and the vehicle operators. How do we want to do this? So we want to create an information package, and through seminars to get to give the knowledge to those vehicle operators, that the knowledge that they need in order for them to feel more comfortable, and to give the proper information and the proper service to the customers.
The information package in seminars, so we divided it by 2 steps. The first step will be assemble a group of people from MTC as well from other companies, so that they will work on an information package, and it will include all the details that we need in order to train the operators of the vehicles, as well as anyone else in the future who will need instruction on the Eller card and the usage of it in cooperation with the MTC. The 3 dots that we wanted to mention about the information package is it should be very simple to read, to understand, and it will be accessible for any person. The second thing is that we think that it should be interactive, includes videos, short videos, something nice to make it easy to understand, as well as pictures. So that's about the first step. The second step should be training the MTC workers, which will then present and explain this information package to the vehicle operators in seminars and workshop that we will schedule with the MTC.
So also this information package should include basic information on how the smart card works, some problems that they might have, and what to do, how to solve them in the real time, in the proper time, and it should be also simple and interactive. So the next proposition we have was to automatize machines that will work at each of the vehicles, so that the interaction between the customer and the vehicles operators will be less, so that the customers will just go with the smart card and put it in the machine, and the payment will be automatically, that they do not need the vehicle operators, that there will be less interaction.
So this picture is added from a real machine that we are having here in Israel, and we know that there's a few countries and transportations companies using those kinds of machines that making the interaction, as Luis said, less, and everything is faster and much convenient for also the operators of the vehicles and as well as the customers.
Why? Because if we reduce the interaction between the vehicle operators and the customers, this will reduce the misinformation having given by the vehicle, the operators. If you don't have if the interaction is less, then it will be better. You won't have misleading information given by the vehicle operators. And if we make this type of device, we can create this much ergonomic and fast, and it's more desirable for everyone to use.
Yes, we will state the MTC and the transportation method it uses as a technological company, and therefore desirable, as we said.
The second problem we saw was the technological problem. They had software issues, hardware, and network. As you can see here, these are the main issues. And we saw that specifically in the network part, the prevalence of issues is 60% and a really high frequency of 40 to 60% in the ability to assign an IP address.
So that's the reason that we chose to face, and we recommend to approach this problem because it's the most frequent.
So we found that right now the MTC is it's having 8,000 alert devices and 100,000 daily customers, and potential issues with the ability to assign IP address should be they need to have a solution right now. So, and the cost per device in order to solve this problem, it's around $200 per device.
Recommendation: we will recommend that MTC will hire a network technicians, as we said before, to solve the IP issues on a scale of at least 10% of the total devices. That's at the beginning, just mentioning, and to start collecting data from the customer's experience in order to decide whether an extra percentage or totally of the devices should be fixed. So that's the next step. What I'm saying is after we will fix and having the technical men will fix the devices, we will check the customer's experience by feedbacks and also by time uses of the alert card, and we can see if the percentages are much higher or less, and then we should we can conclude if it's success, if it's helping, if it's not. Afterwards, we were mentioning that the initial cost of MTC will have to make is 160,000 in order to fix the 10% of the devices. And another point is that we thought about another idea that the MTC stuff will integrate with the technical men. So in the future, if we will need to fix another IP, some sort of issues, the staff of MTC will be able to help as well, and they will be experts in this kind of problem of issue, and they should be able to solve it by themselves, and maybe the technical men won't be necessary anymore, and of course it will save costs.
Well, this is what we had. Thank you very much for listening, and we're happy to answer any questions and also to receive feedback from it.
Whenever Gabriel, should we start, or
Whenever you guys are ready.
is it okay if I go? Just first question. So tell me, just to make sure I understand correctly. So as you know, this is a engineering and commerce competition. So there's a business component and an engineering component. So perhaps you can make sure that I understand exactly what you're saying. So your business solution has two parts: training and hiring technical staff. Yes.
Right.
And your engineering solution is the automated machine.
Right.
Those are the three components of your solution.
That's correct.
And have you looked at the financials aspects of this? You have any idea how this is going to, from a financial point of view, how this is going to work?
As we said before, for the technicians to get involved, it will cost, as we showed before in the chart, it will cost 200 per device. And we concluded the final calculation if we're doing this for 10% of the devices. And for the other thing, the automated machine, we haven't discussed the costs.
Okay, thank you. I'll just let the other judges a chance to ask a question.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I have a question regarding the order of your solutions. You mentioned the training, you mentioned looking at the network issues, and you mentioned working on the new devices. I did not see a timeline in terms of priority of how you wanted to, which problem you wanted to solve first, or in which order you were looking to solve them. Did you think about that? Do you have any plan for that?
Yeah. So I think that the first issue that they should focus on, it's on the training to the staff, so that the communication between the customer and the vehicle operators it's gonna be like more with less misinformation, that they are trained enough that they can solve some issues in the moment, and they will know what to do and how to do it, and also to explain to the customers what should they try to, like, why should they move to this new payment method. And then once we have that part covered, we should start moving to create a less like that the interaction between the customers and the vehicle operators should be like less. And that's why the automatization machines and all this part will be developed after.
Thank you. Did you consider that another set of training would be required once you introduce the new devices?
We did not consider that. That's a good point. But this new automatization should be also considered, like in what's existing now, the method. It should be like it shouldn't be different, really different from what it is now. So basically, what we are offering is a machine that you don't have to do anything, but you either go like we're not trying to replace 100% of the current option. It's just going to be another option, another alternative. So if you do not want to go and talk to the driver or have an interaction, that you could just go and put your card and that's it. But the other option should be still available, and you should be working with both.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so next round I'll go first on the questions because you guys took my questions. Yeah, okay, interesting proposal here to do training first and doing the hardware or the actual technology improvements as second. That is an interesting strategy here. And your strategy, you did mention that you did not want to aim to replace everything, just a portion of it. Is that something that, as part of your plan, your project plan, is that just the beginning, or you're looking at replacing all? because when you have like a field of technology out there and maintaining different devices and different platforms is quite a lot of work.
Right. I think that for the long term, sure, it will be ideal that the customers will be able to use either the card with the optimized machine, the new machine, and at the same time they can interact with the driver if they not succeeding or preferring to speak with a person that will do it. So it will be ideal for the customer to have both options, but because we don't know the budget and we don't know how much the whole thing will cost, so we said it will be ideal to start with a few machines and portion of the transportation methods, and then see what will go afterwards.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say a little bit. Also, if we put not all of the 100%, like if we don't change everything at once, that give us time to see the reaction of the customers, if they're liking this new product or if they don't like it, and what can we change it to make it better for them also.
Yes, this makes sense. Yes, thank you.
I have an additional question regarding the cost. You mentioned the cost per device, $200. Do you have a breakdown on how you ended up with this cost?
So this cost was given in the case. It was just for the specific problem of the IP, and they said that in order to fix this problem, it will cost around like getting the technicians and everything. It will be a total cost of $200 per device.
You're absolutely correct. I just saw it. Sorry for my mistake. Did you give any thought about the total cost, the training itself, and the overall improvements?
So we didn't, and of course we would love to be able to do it, but we feel that we didn't want to just give numbers just to give numbers, and we didn't feel that we had like the proper and the information we needed in order to give a proper data about these things. So it was more of a general thing, and most of this.
Exactly. I believe that it changes according to the location and the instruction team if we take from the MTC or outside company. So it has a lot of effect.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll ask a question for Glenn then.
No.
We
go
ask
ahead.
all your questions. I just have a very quick one. Can you just outline to me exactly what is the innovation in your solution? Is there an innovation component in there that I think I missed maybe?
So maybe what we want to do is, or the innovative thing is that you at some point you're not gonna need any interaction between the vehicle operators and the customer. That they just get in, swipe, and that's it. That the vehicle operator is just there to do the other job of driving or whatever it is doing, and that the customer is just going and
Okay, thank you. I'll leave some time for Glenn. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
So have you, so the $200 is for fixing the current devices. What is the anticipated cost per device for your new automatized solution?
So unfortunately, we do not have that specific data. So I cannot really answer that.
Okay, but yes,
sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to mention that we did discuss that there's two options. One of them is to take the technology from a company that already uses it, because there's a lot. And another option is to develop it by MTC independent. So we need to like review all the costs in an organized way and then compare it.
Okay. So do you know, like the device you showed on the screen there, like, do you know how much that thing costs, or any idea? Is that like a $5,000 machine, a $1,000 device, or any idea?
Unfortunately, not.
Okay, okay.
I have an additional question regarding what you mentioned in your last recommendation. You mentioned about the new hiring technicians to solve the IP issues and then starting collecting data from the customer's experience. Can you elaborate on that data, what you actually had in mind and what your plan is to do with it?
Yeah, so basically we want to if like these devices, they have different problems, and one of them is this specific IP problem. So we want to try to fix that first, and then collecting like the data of how many times the devices are failing again, and how is the interaction with the public, and if it is positive, like if we manage to have less issues, less problems with interaction between the customer and the device because we solve this IP problem, then now we can decide to fix a high percentage of this specific problem, and if not, maybe we can switch to another mechanism, another problem that is maybe a higher and more problematic than this one.
A simple data will be how many customers there is in the moment that are using the other credit, card payment method at the moment in cooperation with MTC. And if it's rising, so we can analyze it and see if the source is the fixing that we did.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the judges? No? Perfect. I'm going to assign you to your specific rooms, and you can just go for the 10-minute deliberation period. Okay? Here. Great. So at the bottom, you guys should see a breakout room button. You can just go to your breakout room. Does everybody see the button?
I do not see a breakout.
No? I'll try to move you guys then. No problem. Just give me a second. Just give me 2 seconds, I'll be right back. Can you guys see the breakout room button now?
No.
Still no? Okay.
No.
Nope.
Sorry about that. It's my first day as a host.
Hi, Gab. Did you need help?
Yeah, I'm not able to put people in their rooms.
If you can just make me co-host and I'll
I
quickly set
did.
that up.
Yeah, I did.
Perfect. Just give me one moment and you're all good to go. Actually, just give me one moment. Sorry, I just need to double check the settings. There we go. Yep, you should be good to go. So everyone, you should get a prompt asking you if you
Yes.
want to join. Just go ahead.
Perfect. Justin, just tell me how you did that.
Yep.
I'll start time.
I'm still waiting for Luis to go in. Yep. So yeah, just start your timer.
Yeah, I'll start it now.
I'm just gonna make you aware that. So basically, when you close when breakout rooms are closed or they're not active,
How were they not active?
you didn't open them yet.
Oh, how did I not do that?
You might have just forgot. It happens. So what
Okay.
happens is you go into breakout rooms and you'll see a blue button. If it's blue, that means they're not open.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Just keep track. If you need to close the breakout rooms to return them, like if you open breakout rooms now,
If I open them, you
yeah,
mean
if you
close
click
them?
the breakout room,
Yeah, I clicked on it.
do you see
Yeah, I can
broadcast message to all?
Yeah.
That's one way, or you can close all rooms, or if you want
Oh.
to go, you can go move to, and you can go main session.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
No worries. Let me know if you need anything else. I'm gonna head out
Perfect.
now.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Hi, are you guys done with the deliberation? Awesome, I'll tell them to come back.
Yes.
Sorry for earlier. It's my first time as a host.
But
No
so
problem,
the
it
guy,
happens.
yeah, so the guy fixed it, but now do you know how to do it? That's more the question.
Yeah.
All right.
I just never opened the breakout room, so
Okay.
it's on me.
So you don't take breaks. All right, that's good.
Okay, so we're ready for the 10-minute feedback period when you guys are ready.
Okay, I'll start. So first of all, thank you for taking the time to present, and I hope you enjoyed your time preparing the case and presenting. In terms of our feedback, I would like to start that we did appreciate the fact that you paid attention to the operator's issue, and you thought of a way to present a solution for that problem. So I think that was good, because the way it was presented in the case, it wasn't very much highlighted, and you were able to spot that. So I think that's a very good positive, the fact that you actually spotted it and addressed it. For the rest, in terms of the details for the costing and the other stuff, I'll leave it up to Marc-André and Glenn, and then maybe later on I'll come back with other comments.
So on the business side, you need in this type of case competition, you need to have a business proposition. You need to have, you know, some kind of deployment plan or strategy with some kind of schedule. You need also to have, you know, financials, like a cost, a budget, and how the cash flow, all the basic aspects, typically like, net present value, internal rate of return, return on investment, that kind of stuff, right? Which I'm sure you know how to do. So, so that aspect is important. Of course, you're missing some information, and that's why you need to make some assumptions. So, and that would be okay to say, okay, this is information we have in the case. These are the assumptions that we made because on the information, perhaps some of it we did some research, we found from different internet sources or whatever, this information. And based on that, these are our financials. Right? Because you're presenting to us, imagine that we're your customer, and you want us to sign the contract. You want us to sign the check. You want us to be happy that you're presenting us with the solution. So if you were, for example, Accenture, you're a top tier consulting firm. We're paying you a lot of money for your expertise. So we're expecting something that will provide a solution. So that's, I think, that aspect I didn't find was clearly presented in what you showed us. Also, the other aspect is the innovation. I think you also, in this type of competition, innovation is an important factor. So also you need to make it very clear what exactly is the innovation in here. Now, that said, I don't want to be overly harsh on you. I mean, there's only two of you, so there's a lot of challenges. I don't know if you have a lot of experience doing these case competitions. Hopefully, keep in mind, this is a learning experience. And, hear the lessons, the comments that we're giving you as constructive criticism that, things that so that you can do better next time. We have these on a regular basis, so you can do it better next time. Glenn?
All right, so thanks for presenting today. Just to echo Marc-André and Charbel, yeah, so I was looking more for more of a detailed strategy or methodology in your approach. Like, yeah, you did the analysis, that's fine, but actually rolling out the solution, yeah, that could have, a little bit more could have been done this way. I know you guys are used to dealing with precision and accuracy in your domains, but in this case, like, assumptions could have been done. I mean, Marc-André had said all of this. What I really enjoyed is, like, you guys used a real world example showing us the device that was being already used. That is fantastic. I also found that you guys had a good dynamic. The flow of information between you was very good. And yeah, practice makes perfect, as they say. So good luck on your next case.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just add a few comments to give you some ideas for the future cases. In terms of the innovation, looking at this specific case, you could have looked at analytics. I mean, you did touch upon it in your recommendation, but you were more focused on is the new system working or not, or is it having problems? But I think you could have taken it much to a much higher level in terms of how are the customers using the systems, where are they traveling, how are they traveling, and then take all sorts of data from that and then build a new experience on top of it. So this is something that would give you more points in the future in these sort of competitions.
Well, thank you.
Yep. I think you guys do have access to the to what exactly is being graded, right? The different grade components of the competition. What are, like, the business case, the engineering, the sustainability, innovation, ethics, all these. So maybe, make sure that in your presentation that all of those aspects are, are specifically covered. I think that's that would be probably a helpful tip for the future, for your next one.
Are we done with the feedback?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for the feedback, and we'll definitely work on it. Yeah, thank you. It
Thank
helps
you
a
for
lot.
consulting, and have a great day.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Perfect. So we're going to put you back in the judges room. You guys can input your scores and also message me who was the best speaker of the presentation. Awesome. Jeff?
Yep. So hi. So how you'll be able to go back into your breakout room is at the bottom. You should see a button with 4 squares that says breakout room. If you do not see it, click more, and breakout room should be available there. That will send you back to your judges room.
Check the time.
And I'll
Awesome.
send you the exact phrasing that I gave just now.
Do what?
I'll send you the exact phrasing so you have it if you forget.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Hi, we're going to ask coaches to turn their camera off, please. Thank you so much.
My camera is off, right?
Yeah, but there's two coaches. If I'm, oh, maybe there's only one. My bad.
Right.
Thank you. We will start soon. Is everyone from Glass Solutions here?
Yeah, we are.
Awesome. Yep. So welcome, Glass Solutions. I'm just going to tell you guys, we'll remind you guys how it works. So for the presentation breakdown, you guys have 15 minutes of presentation, 15 minutes of Q&A, 10 minutes of deliberation where you guys are going to go in your separate room, and 10 minutes of feedback at the very end. If you guys look at me during the presentation, I'll be showing you guys these placards to tell you how much time you guys have left. And I think that's it. Any questions? No?
Can I jump in with something just for just yesterday, the team, they got cut off early. They got cut off 30 seconds early. So can I just ensure there was a problem with the timing? Can I just ensure you're using a stopwatch rather than, you know, looking at the clock?
This. Is that good enough?
Yeah, that
awesome.
that meets the
Great.
criteria. Thanks.
Perfect, no problem. We're gonna wait for the judges to finish inputting their scores and we're gonna start.
Hi, Gabrielle. I see all three as being inputted here.
Awesome. You guys see it? Okay. So I'm also missing one judge. Who is it? Glenn, can you privately message me who was the best speaker in your opinion for the last presentation, please? Thank you so much. I'm just going to get a confirmation that the scores are in.
Maybe I could make some jokes while we're waiting to break the, you guys look so serious. There you go, now you're smiling. There we go, that's good. Excellent, thank you so much. Okay, don't worry.
It shouldn't be too long.
Be happy.
Maybe while we're waiting, Gabrielle, do you know which of the students is going to be sharing their screen? Maybe we can get that set up or while we're waiting.
Yeah, I can start. I presume everyone can see that, okay?
Yes, it's very nice. Thank you so much.
Jess, can you hear me? Okay, the scores are in, so Glass Solutions and you guys are ready.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are Glass Solutions, and we have been hired by Accenture to present our vision for your company, Montreal Transit Commission, or MTC. My name is Aoife, and these are my teammates, Scott, Alana, and Ben. MTC has recently adopted the Smart Card Technology System, ALAIR. However, this has presented a number of issues for the company. The card scanning devices are constantly causing problems, with an average of 8 to 10% out of service at any given time. This has led to some very frustrated customers, encouraging bad press and serious damage to MTC's brand reputation. Furthermore, the switch to using card payments has left some MTC vehicle operators confused and uncomfortable with the new system. This has led to inconsistent information being given to consumers, as operators themselves are unsure of how the system works. If these problems are allowed to continue, they have the potential to cause long-term damage to MTC. Their brand image could be tarnished beyond repair. They could force commuters into switching to an alternative public transport company, losing loyal customers. But most importantly, these technical issues are causing MTC to lose revenue each and every day. These are the problems on a larger scale, but how do they affect the individual? Scott will now take you through Mary's story.
Meet Mary, a local Montreal healthcare worker. As a healthcare worker, she has very long work days, sometimes longer than 13 hours. She travels to work every day using the MTC subway system and has given the new Alir card a go. This has been nothing but a disaster for her. Things are constantly broken and give all types of errors. This means she keeps missing her train home, and it is the last thing she wants, needs, or deserves late at night after a long day providing assistance during COVID-19. She has been hearing news from everyone that the Alir card system is causing everyone problems, and Mary is considering looking at new ways to get to work, as she does not have faith in MTC to get her where she needs without problems.
Looking at the impact of ALAIR's malfunctions on MTC's revenue last year, we can see that it resulted in a significant loss of profits for the company. In 2020, MTC had 1 million daily riders. Of that, 10% had an ALAIR card, giving us 100,000 riders. Of that 100,000, 10% met a broken machine when they tried to pay. A quarter of those moved to a different machine, but the remaining 75% did not pay or ride. This means that a whopping $26,250 is being lost every day due to these broken machines, adding up to an annual loss of $9 million in revenue. Scaling this up over the next 5 years, using the predicted increase in ALAIR card users, we can see that if nothing is done to mitigate these problems, $225 million of potential revenue will be lost over these 5 years. MTC needs help to address these issues immediately. This is where we step in. Looking firstly at the business case for MTC, we have provided 3 main recommendations: training workshops for MTC vehicle operators, a stronger focus on corporate social responsibility, or CSR, and partnerships with local Canadian businesses. As I mentioned earlier, many MTC operators were uncomfortable with the new payment system, as they were used to customers paying with cash and tokens only. In order to overcome this, we envisage MTC running easy-to-follow training workshops for all staff. As 80% of MTC fares are predicted to be paid using ALAIR by 2025, it is absolutely essential that the vehicle operators become comfortable and content with the new system. Initially, these workshops will be run via Zoom. However, if restrictions allow later in the year, there will be the option to attend in person. Next, in order to mitigate the negative publicity that they have recently received, we believe that MTC need to engage in CSR to establish a positive brand image in the eyes of the public. Therefore, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the ALAIR card will offer reduced fares for all healthcare workers and first responders. Post-pandemic, MTC can continue to invest in CSR through regular charitable donations. Thirdly, in order to increase uptake in the use of the ALAIR card, MTC will partner with various Canadian companies to offer discounts to customers who present their ALAIR card upon retail transaction. In return, these companies will get free advertising on the back of the ALAIR cards. This marketing strategy has been successfully implemented in Ireland with the Leaf card and in the UK with the Oyster card. Ilana will now talk you through the main aspects of our engineering solution.
Thank you, Aoife. But before I make any recommendations for MTC, I want to tell you about some of the in-depth analysis we carried out on the current technology problems MTC are facing. The technology problems are broken into three main categories: network, creating 60% of the problems; software, 10% of the problems; and hardware, 30%. Starting with the smallest, software. The software can be further broken into bugs, incorrect translation of business requirements to software, and the efficiency of the code. And although only contributing to 10% of the total problems, this adds up to a yearly $2,625 loss for MTC, and over a 5-year projection, a combined $21,000 loss for the MTC. Similarly, moving on to the hardware, it can be further subdivided into three categories: the card readers, the cables, and the storage. Again, with a 5-year plan in mind, faults with the hardware could lead MTC to a potential loss of $63,000. And lastly, the network. Clearly, the largest technology concerns come directly from this area. Subdivided into connection speed, the inability to assign IP addresses at terminals, and the intermittent connectivity issues, we have identified this area as the first that needs to be addressed. So now that we know where MTC are falling down in terms of technology and what areas we need to focus on, is there any digital trends that will help us in staying a step ahead in technology and ensuring that we don't fall behind again? Well, I'll now hand you over to Scott to tell us more.
As with all things these days, everything is driven by technology. Just observe particular trends that they follow. Mobility is a crucial area whereby everything is becoming more and more paperless. The UK government has recently funded Urban Things, which allows for users to pay for their transportation through Bluetooth on their mobile devices. The Internet of Things is all about the interconnectivity of devices to each other. The United States Department of Transportation has been using the Internet of Things to reduce accidents in cars by up to 80%. Data analytics follows information from their devices and to make informed business decisions from this data. For example, AVL systems are implemented in buses and trains in Germany. AI has gained huge popularity over the last number of years. Through the use of AI, complex tasks can be automated and find solutions to problems that no human could ever find. This is commonly used in the travel industry to ease traffic congestion throughout the US.
In developing our implementation plan, We began by breaking down the cost of fixing each of the previously discussed technical issues and their corresponding potential savings. This gave us a good outline of how an implementation plan should be approached. The goal of our implementation plan is to quickly and effectively reduce the number of malfunctioning devices across the MTC network. From the chart shown, the red sections of the plan display costs to MTC, while the green sections represent the period of time the costs are outweighed by the savings of the implementation. Gray areas show continuing costs. It was important for us to balance the payback period and the required upfront costs. By staggering our implementation ideas, we could reduce the capital expenditure required by MTC to solve these issues. As Alana highlighted previously, network problems associated with the Alair devices accounted for 60% of all current Alair device malfunctions. Beginning straight away from January 2021, the hiring of IP address technicians and the negotiations of a contract to increase network speed would reduce disruptions in Alair devices. By implementing these two stages early, we are able to ensure the greatest reduction in malfunctioning devices as fast as possible. Looking at the previous slide, software bug fixes beginning in Q2 2021 and costing $40,000 would be paid back by the beginning of Q4 and allow a stable base for our future software development. Allowing a slow rollout period from the beginning of Q3 2021 to the end of Q1 2022 for new cabling to be installed in all devices, we expect to see positive savings on these cables by the end of Q2 2022. Software efficiency improvements with the initial cost of $160,000 and an implementation time of 6 months decreases the device malfunctioning by 4%. Taking an agile approach to coding allows for quick changes and modifications to be implemented during design as public feedback and new problems arise. Our advanced AI systems monitoring dashboard will begin in Q2 2023. This system will not necessarily pay back over the 5-year period, as savings might be limited. However, there is potential for it to be applied to other devices and systems across the MTC network. The major impact our solution will provide in 2021 is a 62.25% reduction in Alair device issues. This reduction includes the 6-month implementation time for IP technicians and the 3-month implementation period for connection speed to increase. Future opportunities for the company are technology related. Our 2023 introduction of an AI systems monitoring dashboard will allow maintenance technicians to have a complete overview of all Alair devices on the MTC transports. By using data analytic techniques, AI systems will be able to predict failures on devices before they occur and also alert technicians to the location and nature of the system's faults. This technology has the capability to be applied across MTC platforms, from technology to transport systems.
Remember Mary. Remember all of the struggles she faced in her commute to and home from work. Well, this is not a problem anymore. Due to the technological advances made at MTC, she has noticed that her Alair card always functions, and much more of the card stations are always working. Due to Mary being a healthcare worker, she is thoroughly enjoying the savings she is receiving traveling on the MTC subway. This makes her feel really appreciated. She talks to her friends about just how happy she is with her revamped subway system card, and has even got many of her friends to sign up to the Alair card.
In terms of revenue projection, the first yearly revenue figures shown are given the current model provided by MTC, and the adjusted yearly revenues are including the savings as a result of our engineering improvements that Ben discussed.
In line with Accenture and MTC's vision, we have ensured that ethics and sustainability are at the heart of our recommendations. The improvement of public transport in our city will reduce the impact of congestion, generate economic spin-off, and also improve long-term resilience in the infrastructure. As well as sustainability, ethics is ingrained in our recommendations. Inclusivity and diversity are prioritised through making public transport a safer and more user-friendly place, as Aoife mentioned earlier. And the benefits for MTC? Well, they're large and extensive. A strong corporate social responsibility image, an increase in consumer basis, mitigating the loss of revenue, and satisfied consumers, but to name a few. But what about the impact on the person?
Mary is just one person, but MTC has over 1 million commuters daily on their transport system. Recall how happy Mary was with her experience with the Alir card and knowing safe in her mind that this will always work. Just imagine the sheer happiness of all the customers when this gets scaled.
So what exactly is our solution offering? We are combining an engineering and business element to provide MTC with a significant increase in annual revenue via systems monitoring, AI interface, operator training, CSR, and local brand partnerships. I would like to thank you all so much for listening, and we welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Glass Solutions. When you guys are ready for the Q&A session, you guys can go.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Marc-André, go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to hear maybe a little bit more about your AI predictive analytics solution. That's very interesting. How would that work exactly?
Yeah, so thanks, Scott, for pulling up that slide. So the dashboard itself is used by the technicians, and it's a map of the Montreal system. And on the map is located the locations of the Alir devices. The AI system itself would monitor the signals coming from these devices, and it could tell, it would use AI and past historical performance data to predict if there was going to be an issue with those devices.
So what kind of AI are we talking about here?
That would need to be assessed in the coming years before the implementation of the plan.
And do you know if any such system has been made, is it existing already, if there's anything like that in place?
Yeah, so there's a Canadian company called Genetech who use AI and systems monitoring for visual surveillance across cities and business campuses. And they have a similar dashboard style, so it has been implemented, and we would be looking to do something similar to that.
Thank you.
All right, so to be frank here, I'm struggling to find questions because this was very comprehensive, so I'm still searching.
Glenn, if you want, I can go with one in the meantime.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I hope that you had fun preparing the case as much as you had fun presenting it. I had a question regarding the costs. You provided solutions. You mentioned the revenue loss, the projected revenues, and so on. But in terms of cost to implementing those solutions, can you talk to us more about those?
Of course. Scott, if you wouldn't mind pulling up Appendix D. So we did everything based on the cost it's going to cause and then the savings after that. So although this is quite small, it shows a breakdown of the first 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023 along the top, and along the left-hand side is the 7 different strategies that we propose in implementing. So the IP address, the connectivity, the storage, all that along the left-hand side. So we based on the data we were given, the costs, and then the savings were also based on the users that have been predicted increasing per year, and assuming that the falls were proportional with what we were given. For example, the 60% due to the network, when we mitigated that, that's where the savings came from. Sorry, I think you're muted.
You're on mute, Shaban.
Oops, sorry. I usually pay attention to that. My follow-up question is related to the costs. More specifically, if we look at, for example, the IP address technicians or the connection speed and so on, how did you estimate those costs?
So given in the data we were given, it showed, I think it was $200 per device. And then we scaled that to the number of devices, which was 8,000 devices. And that's how we estimated the costs. So there was data given about how much fixing each problem was going to cost in terms of per device or per device per month.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn,
Yeah, I really apologize. I don't have any questions. Yeah, nice presentation.
Well, how about Glenn? How about we ask you about the methodology of implementing this? You talked about being agile, but when I look at your project plan, it looked more like a classic waterfall. How is agile fit into this?
I might just
great question. I'm just going to, or yeah, Ben, go on. Yeah,
I might just start and then Scott will hop on. So the agile was when we mentioned agile, it was in relation to the code development rather than the plan implementation.
I'm sorry, was this a prepared slide that you have?
This is an appendix.
In your appendix.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you anticipated this question?
We may have.
Yeah, so I can see Alana smile
I'm impressed.
a lot.
I'm sorry, but I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Yeah, I can see Alana smile a lot when she said pull up Appendix D. So could we see all of your appendixes or appendices?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'll start at the beginning, I guess.
Can talk you through them. So this was just a scaled up solution where I had the graph from, and this was the loss in revenue with the predicted increase each year in the number of users.
Okay.
This is the main balance sheet when we took a snip, and then these are just the closer images so you guys can read them more clearly. This is our technology acceptance model in case there was queries or concerns regarding people accepting the new technology that's being developed.
This was how we envisaged the consumer decision-making process in terms of marketing. So what our real pro was here coming in under the consideration stage, the pros and cons, when they looked at our competitors versus what advantages we were offering to ensure that they would make the right decision in the purchase stage. And then in terms of loyalty, that's where we bring in our feedback loop, which is part of our marketing strategy with the consumer. So that if there's anything they're still not happy with, we can fix it and ensure that loyalty, which is the main problem at the moment, given the frustrated consumer element. And this was the technology S-curve. So within these 5 years, we want to make sure that we're currently on the growth stage. But looking at our revenue figures over the first few years, it's possible to predict if our technology will enter the aging stage. And if we believe this is the case, we'll switch to a new S-curve because we want MTC to be at the forefront of technology as opposed to using an aging technology. So we will reevaluate our solution and switch to a new S-curve altogether if we believe that our technology is no longer as innovative as it was when we decided to begin this project. These were our three main business doubts: our original time and budget, and make sure it's suitable for everyone, not just our example of Mary, and to make sure it's sustainable. And we believe that we met all these guidelines.
Yeah.
So we also had thought about the cybersecurity, and from the point of view of from the card to the data storage center and back to the client interface on the web design, how we would secure every single layer of those. And also this is the basis of our cybersecurity framework. It's the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
And this was how we believed we would penetrate the market in 3 stages, being introduction, where there's an initial weariness of the technology, hence why the take-up is only at a very low 10%, moving into the growth stage, where it begins to increase from 15 to 50%, customers become comfortable with the technology, and then by stage 3, it's the norm, everyone has the card. there's nearly 100% take up, that should say, and at this stage, that's when we believe our profits will be highest. And in order to ensure this, then, like I mentioned, was the customer feedback loop and marketing via our 3 main channels, which would be social media and newsletters and email marketing.
And then we were on to the comparisons of our waterfall versus agile techniques.
Okay.
And
All
that would
right.
be us.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Your coach must be so proud of you right now. If I were your teacher, I'm sorry, we have to go and judge now. But wow.
Do we,
Thank you
do
very
we
much.
still
Down
have
to
time
them,
for,
not me.
do we still have time for questions?
Yes, you guys have almost 6 minutes.
Okay, perfect. You mentioned the 62% reduction in the issues you were having, well, the system was having. How did you come up with this number?
So those figures were actually given in the case. So the 60%, the 62.5 is broken down. So 40% of that 60% is due to the IP address technicians, and then 20% of that 60% is due to increased connectivity speed, and then the remaining 2.5% is coming from the last section of our implementation plan. Which I can't quite remember what the third step was. Scott, would you mind going back to it, please?
I think it was Appendix 4 of the case, if you have it in front of you, Charbel, if you're looking.
There we go.
Yeah, I have it in there. I'm looking at different documents at the same time.
So the remaining 2.5% was coming from software bug fixes, and then cabling with an initial no benefit in cabling the first month due to the slow rollout, and then we would be bringing in we would see the benefits then at the end of Q4 of 2021.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from the judges?
Not for me.
Everyone's good?
I'm all out of questions.
Perfect. I'll put the participants in the team room, and then the judges, you guys should be able to go in your own judges room on your own, if I'm not mistaken. And for the participants, you guys should get a prompt to go to the teams room.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, so let me send you my vote for the speaker.
Thank you so much. You guys are done?
I'm not sure on the spelling of the name though.
Oh, there's no problem.
Okay. No, but it wasn't too hard compared to the first team. Who wants to start, judges? Maybe I'll go with the positive note and we'll. Or Glenn, do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. Are we all here?
Yeah.
All right, so great presentation, great storytelling of the problem, excellent presentation. The flow between you all was very nice. The CSR play is like a great touch to the presentation. Your digital trends as well. You had a nice plan, a nice strategy and methodology to your approach. I also enjoyed the order in how you presented the improvements. That was very, very good as well. The monitoring system, which was focused on AI, and that sure catches our attention, especially if you're predicting that you can find the problems before they occur. Hey, that's fantastic. Also the branding and the attention to the branding and the corporate image, fantastic, as well as the users. Yeah, very good. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to say, but yeah.
All right, I'll go next. Great presentation. Really, it was very interesting to watch you present. So thank you for that. The presentation, I tried my best to find something in the Q&A, but I guess you were really prepared for all of it. Very good chemistry between all of you, how we were switching and how we were presenting. Also, it was very impressive. I really couldn't find much negative to say. Maybe on the engineering side, going a bit more in the details, but I'm not sure if I'm asking too much or not. So, but aside from that, I think you covered all the bases. Great presentation overall.
Maybe a bit more in the AI part, I think, which is very interesting. And I'm sure you know that in Montreal, we have a lot of expertise in AI. So this might be one of the reasons you mentioned that. But maybe a little bit more, what kind of AI and all that, because we have so much expertise here. We, probably want to hear a bit more about maybe using deep learning or something like that, analytics. But that was very good. But again, you know that this is not your first dance, right? Some of you, I know I've judged before a few times. I think it's probably not even your first year at the ENGCOMM competition. So that definitely shows, a difference. So that was noticeable. So really, we'll give some credit to your coach as well, but I think it's a team effort, and you guys, hopefully, many of you are. If you're not already graduate students, hopefully you will soon be MBA students. Definitely amazing potential. So I was very impressed. I don't have much criticism other than that.
All right, so I just have just to give you a little bit of feedback. In one of the appendix, there was a picture with a smart watch and some smart phone and so on. Maybe somewhere in here they could just something to say that you're looking at also positioning the company MTC to extend to other devices than just the Alley. That's about the only thing I can say. And it was nice for you sharing the appendixes or appendices, yes.
Yeah, especially nice that it shows that you were you were prepared. You anticipated what would be the questions, and that I think is particularly impressive. I have nothing more to add, guys.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Just like to say thank you for all your feedback, and it actually is our first time at the ENGCOMM competition. I know myself, Scott, and Ben, this year was the first time we ever participated in a case competition, but we have done like so many practice cases leading up to this that that's kind of
Very good. Yeah, excellent. I'm not allowed to ask you where you're from, so I won't ask you the name of the school, but it's a good school.
Could I just apologize for our pronunciation?
So we're just missing one participant, and as soon as he or she arrives, we'll be able to start. Is everyone here, or are you guys still missing someone?
We're still missing one. Maybe he think was 5:50 that the presentation starts, so he should be here anytime soon.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry about that.
Okay, he should be here soon. So I'm just going to give you a small reminder. So for the presentation breakdown, you guys have 15 minutes of presentation, 15 minutes of Q&A, and then 10 minutes of deliberation where everyone is going to be in separate rooms, and then 10 minutes of feedback at the end. To know how much time you guys have left, I have flashcards that I'm going to show you. And as soon as the next teammate arrives, we'll be able to start. Perfect. Welcome, everyone. And when you guys are ready, you can start.
All right. Just want to make sure that my screen is shared correctly. Perfect. Sarah, you might want to unmute yourself. Do I start whenever I'm ready?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you very much, MTC, for consulting global assets on the current situation that MTC is having. So without further ado, Ali MTC. So first, we would like you to meet the team. So today I'm joined by my colleagues, Andres, Sarah, Frank, and myself, Wade. And I will talk about the mandates. The mandate is to identify the current impact of Ali devices and to introduce a solution that offsets the current flaws. So what is the current situation? Currently, Ali devices has a lot of reliability issues, which leads to angry customers, and that those angers are directed towards the employees. Also, we're also having a employee expertise problem, whereas other employees are not familiar with the newer technology, and which they cannot explain thoroughly to the customers about how the Ali devices will work. So this will lead to a vicious circle that has furious customers that through their anger to employees, which turn them into angers, and then which eventually lead to a loss of customers, less revenue, which means that we'll have less maintenance and have less reliability, which will be back again to furious customers. So what is the impact of the current Ali devices if the current issue is not solved? So we have assumed a loss in ridership due to Ali devices at a minus 0.96% currently, and which will be increasing at the rate of 10% throughout 2021 to 2025. And this is because as people get more in touch with Ali devices, the disappointment will grow, so which it will increase by 10%. And however, we also have assumed that there will be no growth or decrease due to any of other issues or upgrades, and and assuming that the situation will not get get worse, and that devices stays at the 10% of not working. So a few numbers of the current situation. So those are the numbers we have. First, on the first column, we have the impact of issues of Ali devices not fixed per year. And then we have the number of Ali users per year that will be increasing from 15% to 20% to 50% to 60% and finally 80%. And then next we have the number of customers lost due to Ali devices. And those we have the incremental loss of riders due to those Ali devices. And those were sum up to a total loss of $17.36 million and also a continuous loss of customers. So next I will pass it on to Andres to talk about the engineering solution.
Perfect. Let's talk about one of the biggest issues that is targeting 60% of our devices at the moment, and that is our network issues. Our solution is basically to implement a new MAN network. What does a MAN network implement? Is a metropolitan area network. So basically it covers a whole city. Now, in a network, there's many sub-networks that are different from one another. The first sub-network, if you see on the left branch, is for moving vehicles, and that is going to be a WAN network, which is a wide area network. This network obviously needs to be wireless, since we cannot wire buses that are moving from one station to another. Our goal, however, is to reduce the amount of wireless networks we have from one station to another, because this can actually, wireless is not a direct connection, and that can lead to many inefficiencies and can lead to many more dissatisfaction with our customers. Now, but inside of the vehicle, all the devices connected together creates a different subnetwork, which is a LAN network. A LAN network is a local area network, which is actually directly connected with Ethernet cables. Moving on from the moving vehicles that are the buses to the subway. The subway are all stationary devices. We do not need to make them wireless in order to connect to the main metropolitan area network. The stationary devices inside of the subway, which are the majority of our devices, are going to be a LAN network once again. Moving on to the next slide, please. Now, why do we choose a LAN network? What's the advantage of a LAN network? LAN networks are a lot more reliable than wireless networks. As I previously mentioned, it's a direct connection, which means there's more security. There's more troubleshooting is a lot easier because wireless networks can also be software related, although LAN networks are mainly hardware related. If you choose the right hardware, you're basically not going to have any issues. And also LAN networks are a lot faster. Why? Once again, it's a direct connection. You don't need to worry about any interference. This is a lot more useful for stuff that is stationary, like the stationary devices that are inside of a bus and the stationary devices that are inside of the metro. There's no need to overcomplicate things and have risk for more dissatisfaction. And on top of that, LAN network is a lot more cheaper. However, many subway stations and subway systems are using a LAN network, but they're only using category 5 Ethernet cables. Now, this is a problem because these cables are old technology and can affect the issues in connectivity, speed, and IP addresses recognition. The solution to that, we need to upgrade to a newer version of Ethernet cables, which is actually the category 7 cables, which improves the performance of a LAN network. Next slide, please. Now, what are the new benefits and comparison of a category 7 cable? If you look at the picture down on the right corner, we see that a category 5, category 6, and a category 7 cable have the same ports, which means that our category 7 cable can actually be used in the technology that is already used inside of the metro. Now, why do we choose category 7? In terms of connectivity, we have 16 megahertz of bandwidth with a category 5, which leads to problems like it was previously mentioned. But with a category 7, we increase that to 600 megahertz in bandwidth connectivity. That leads to a higher speed. Of course, we move on from 1,000 megabits per second to 10,000 megabits per second. That's a lot more information in bits that we are transferring from one connection to another every second. And for IP address technology can actually be a result from the two previously mentioned. If those two are bad, the IP address technology will be bad as well. So by improving both connectivity and speed, we can have a lot more IP addresses that are addressed within our network. By upgrading the network connection cable, we address many issues outlined by having a one-time cost related to the price of the cable. Now, Frank will show our next implementations of our other solutions.
So good afternoon, everyone. So here's another implementation that will be payable card readers. This implementation is due to the different ways that now customers are trying to pay for a way to entrance to the bus, to the metro stations, and things like that. So for that, we decided to come with this multiple payment platform. So you can use your credit card, you can use your phone, you can use Ale, the device, and it even can be installed as an application within your phone. So you can even pay directly with your phone using the application of Ale. So every transaction here is registered and then it's sent through a data cloud NFC. NFC stands for a near field connection. So every time that you pay, every transaction will be sent to a cloud. This is more efficient because it saves a lot of space and memory that before you had to buy SD memory cards. And this is actually pretty expensive. Now we are using a Google platform, Google Cloud system, which is actually allow us to store information, and then whatever information is being stored will be sent directly into your email or credit card account and things like that to register that the payment was done and there is no mistakes as previously mentioned. We are also focusing on security. So we have installed a WSP Pay software that is usually used by the company SCA Microelectronics. And this method is used to encrypt every transaction. And it kind of protects all users for the for any kind of if you want to say somebody was trying to hack into the system, there is a shared network within our connection for buses and subways and things like that. Nobody will be able to do it because it has been developed exactly to deal with this kind of problems. So the software will be updatable and it will be portable. The idea is that we can just install it and remove it pretty quickly. This idea comes like in the case that there is a problem with the software, with one of the devices, we can just remove it and replace it instantly. So there is no need for constant updates in terms of this. The reparations will be done on the other place. And upgradable, well, I just want to mention that this is one of the more strengths, and it will be combined with the Internet of Things and also with the data analytics that we will see later on. Next, please. So one of the main issues of the software updates, how is it that we're going to deal with this? It's through two different types of methodologies. So one of them is agile development, and the other one is the strategy, the waterfall. And those two type of strategies are developed to create a type of software at the end. So that's the main goal. However, in this case, we have a network that is working really hard and we need some constant updates. So let me explain a little bit for the waterfall methodology. When you start a project, you have a timeline that is directed to everything, single step that you will be realizing through the software. Then you have the design and the implementation where the code can be worked separately by different entities, different persons working. Customers are helping on the initial stage. However, there are no multiple changes that can be done to the software at the end of the project. On the other hand, we have agile development, which has a Kanban methodology, which is constant improvement of the things that are now in the code. Customers are constantly mentioning that they wanted some things specifically for the new application, for new software, but it seems like in terms of the software, they are not complying. We are not complying with what they want. So that's why we need to use the agile methodology, because it constantly updates the needs of the customers. Finally, I would like to talk about the trends. So we have different trends here, and we decided that the most relevant for our case would be to use the Internet of Things, data analytics, and artificial intelligence. The main reason for data analytics is because it allows us to know exactly what things are happening with the customers. If there are more customers using more buses, do we need to increase the number of buses? Do we need to reduce the number of schedules? We can even give promotions to customers knowing that they use different type of roads or timelines like this. So for that, data analytics is incredibly smart. It can also be used to know how many reparations do we need within each station, or maybe not even within the station, but just to have a record of what stations need more repair, buses, and things like that. With the artificial intelligence, we are trying to collaborate with the Internet of Things to be able to do payments online, and so the information will be just sent pretty fast. Mobility is something that we already mentioned previously. Payments will be able to be done through the phone or ways of payments using cards, electronics, and things like that. Finally, I just want to do a recap of all the implementations that we're going to do. On the next slide, please. So as we see here, the software is being tackled by a daily software. Software engineers will be daily tackling each of the stations, buses, and things like that to make sure that the softwares are updated and there is no problem with that. They will be covering multiple stations, and that will solve the problem of the bugs. The talk-to-talk, as I mentioned before, business and the code needs to show. Hardware, as I mentioned previously, is going to be this new type of payment that can be done using through new different technologies, cards and things like that. There's a completely new design that we have developed. We are keeping the software, but we have a new hardware for that because it's less expensive. Storage, as I mentioned before, we're using Google Storage. It's more efficient and it takes less money from our packets. Finally, for the network, as my partner Andres has previously mentioned, we are using a direct LAN because it's the most effective way to transmit information. And now to talk about the implementation and more things in the financial side, Sarah will be speaking with you.
Thank you, Frank. So here's a summary of the financials. So we have an investment cost for the new card reader design and for the LAN cables. And then there's going to be a variable cost for the storage of 1,013 per month and a 600K per year, which is going to bring a total for the first year for 2.86 million. And we can see that using the opportunity cost of if we wouldn't have done anything, what Ray presented in the beginning, that this cost would be covered after 3 years of operations. Next slide, please. For the implementation of first the new card readers in the bus and the category 7 Ethernet cables, we propose a time of 2 years, starting with installation. So all of this is based on a network that is already existing, that is very similar to our network. So we're going to start with installation of 7 months. We're going to do 12 months of testing on just a select amount of vehicles. And after that, there will be 5 months of activation. Next slide, please. And after that, we also are going to implement this on or during at the same time. There will be also the subway stations where we're also going to implement the LAN network cables. The installation will be 1 year. The testing will be 6 months and the activation will be 6 months. So this will also be a total of 2 years time. Next slide, please. So all in all, we have a future-proof solution that's upgradable and replaceable, which will result in happy customers and a return on investment, which is still to improve, is still to work on because this is not the correct ROI. So we'll come back to that on that. Thank you very much. You're welcome for questions.
Maybe I can start. I'm not very clear with the financial aspects of your project. How exactly is this going to work? How much is this going to cost, and how is this going to? That seems very, very high level. Do you have a little bit more detail on how this is going to happen?
And maybe you can just go to the slide before. Wait. Yeah, so for the software, the agile development, we have a software engineer and we expect 2 full-time employees per year. So this will result in 600,000 per year. The new design will be $200 each, 2 buses, one for 2 buses for 8,000 vehicles in total. So that will be the 1.6 million. So for the storage, it's 1,013 per month. Frank can explain more about that. And next to that, there's the Ethernet cables, which is for the metro.
Okay, but where do these numbers come from? Like, for example, two employees, 600K. I want this job. This is a really good salary. Where did the numbers come from?
We looked into the average cost of how much you pay for a software engineer, and we came up with an efficient way to just to hire 2 of them to take care of the optimizations of the total data storage. So that's how we came up with that number. For example, the other ones for the Google Cloud, I just had to search for Google how much it costs for a data storage per month. The new design, I need to search just how much it costs to have a new, these are really cheap actually, the card readers, and just to do a calculation of how many buses we will install them. And that's how we came up with the 1.6 million.
Okay, thank you. I'll let the other judges continue.
Yes, hi. First of all, thank you for taking the time to prepare and present your project. I have a question regarding your analysis of the current situation. You mentioned that you have you identified angry employees and angry customers. How did you address that issue?
So the reason why we're having angry employees is that the customers who haven't received the service they want at with the company, they're throwing their angers to the employees. So by improving the reliabilities of those equipments, there will be less problem happening. So the customers, by definition, will be happier with the service as well. I think it wasn't mentioned within the presentation, but once all those implementation will be implemented, we'll have a detailed training to all the employees, making sure that every employees will be will know exactly what to tell the client about and to tell them the most accurate information as possible.
Okay, and did you think about addressing some of those issues in the first month while you're preparing your upgrades?
So that would come down to the implementation. Of course, for currently, we're asked to do a detailed implementation for the engineering part. However, as for the business part, of course, we should do something about it, and this could be done simultaneously as we're developing the product. So the first thing I would do is really to let the customer know about the new product that's coming out, really to let them know what are the benefits of it and what are the pros of the new services.
I would like to add on this. So you were asking how are we letting the customers know that things are better within a short period of time. So one of the things that I mentioned is the data analytics that we're planning to implement. And this is necessary for us to be able to offer some special services to the customers. So we know that a customer goes from point A to B. Currently, we can then offer some special offers, discounts, and things like that, just because we know that they have been with us for a long time. And we are just trying to upgrade our systems into something better to provide them with a better services. So this data analytics is actually very important for our business. This is how one of the main reasons why we need to keep it, because that's how we will provide quick, efficient ways for the customers.
Okay, thank you. But the data analytics, would that be implemented? At which timeline would it be implemented?
It would be implemented right away because data analytics is based on the data that we have already collected from previous years. So it would be a question of just analysis, and that's all. And it might take probably 1-2 months if we want to just analyze the most recent, the most loyal clients. You could say, like the ones that we have more data for, and it would be done right away.
Okay, and one more technical question, and then I'll let the other judges ask their questions. You mentioned on slide 10, I believe, when you were talking about the payable card readers, you mentioned something about the devices being upgradable and replaceable. Could you elaborate more on that, please?
So we realize that there are many problems with the systems, the payable card system that Metro has, that the buses have. So what we wanted to do was a system just like, for example, STM has, where they install kind of like a payable devices next to the pole, and it requires just to remove it. It's it's quickly to remove and replace. So in the case that there is a problem, we just need to uninstall it, remove it, and just place a new one. Upgradable, I mean that we can update the system. So it will have a software integrated in it that will start learning how many people take the bus, for example, a day. So each transaction that passes, it will learn how many times, how many customers we need. We need to probably add more buses, probably remove more buses, and things like that. These replaceable things will not only be for buses, but also for underground stations, for train stations, and for all the platforms that were mentioned here in the case.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd just like to continue in that train of thought. So your plan here is to replace all of the devices or to reuse some of the devices?
We want to keep the software. We just want to update the software. So there is someone more capacitated to do that. We would like to have a new hardware. This is what we want to update. And that's where the costs are coming from. The reason for the new software is because we want to make it more accessible to people. We know people don't like this new type of systems. It was mentioned in the case many times. They just feel like the technology is too, I don't know, difficult to deal with. So I think that a better looking hardware would be better to facilitate for any kind of clients that we have.
All right. And you did mention somewhere on a slide that you're going to be installing 2 devices on the buses, one at the front, one at the end. Is there any assumption around this? Meaning, how many devices are on the buses today?
If I can take this,
please go ahead.
Well, this was actually mentioned in the case that the average amount of devices inside of a bus are 2. And the assumption here is that there's usually 2 entrances inside of a bus, so front and back. What's the first thing that we want to do when we pay? Well, of course, when we get into the bus is to pay and to actually say that we're here and we're allowed to be here because we paid our monthly pass. So that's the assumption that we're using here. So definitely 1 in the front pole, in the front entrance in front of the bus driver, and 1 in the back pole. So that's why we chose 2 devices per bus.
Okay, thank you. There's also a mention in one of about the encryption here, and you mentioned a specific type of encryption or a specific. Could you repeat what was that about the encryption?
Yes, the name of the software is STP Pay, and it's a software that is used by the company STM Microelectronics. And what they do is they try to encrypt every transaction because they know that hackers might try to enter into the system and just to hack there. So this is information given by website.
All right. So are you planning, is there any way for us to change what we use to encrypt if it doesn't suit our needs?
Usually, yes. So what the near field communication is just a way to pay right away, but there have been many problems already with people trying to encrypt it. So that's why it was the decision to implement it right away. This is a third-party company. Right. So they will be working with us trying to implement this within the payable tables, the payable card reader, sorry.
All right. So what's the licensing around something, a solution like this? Is it like per transaction? Do I need to get a license for each device or?
When I read within the website, it was mentioned that the license is just for you to use it. So once you have the license, you acquire the license, you can use it in each of the devices that you have. Now the price might change if you have many devices because you need a chip that goes within the payable card reader and it goes at the back. Right. So you might need to afford invest on those costs.
Okay. That's it for me. Thank you.
Maybe I'll go with a little question then. So you've mentioned on the networking side, the local area networks, metropolitan area network, wide area network, and using category 7, so copper wire to connect through the metro system, the subway system.
Yes.
That's correct?
Yep.
You do know that metro stations are more than 1 kilometer distance between each station, are very most likely 1 to 1.7 kilometer. But the limitations of a wired copper LAN is 1 kilometer. So why did you consider using that technology rather than using fiber optics, for example?
Actually, we did take into consideration when we calculated not just the price, but we also saw how category 7 cables are sold. They're differently sold in different lengths. So you can go up to 1 kilometer, like you said. So we took into consideration that one station is 1 kilometer, and the stations that are huge, like an example in Montreal, Breakout, we could estimate a 1.25 kilometers on top of it. So that was taken into account. But if you're talking about fiber optic right now, they're head-to-head when it comes to Ethernet. So because fiber optic is different than Ethernet, but category 7 we took the old category 5 version of Ethernet and we remodeled it to go head-to-head with fiber optic, which was offered by Bell, if I'm not mistaken. Why did we choose that? It's because a fiber optic cable, the fibers, they have a different connector. And since we're already using category 5 Ethernet cables inside of the metro, it would cost us a lot more to just have the same performance because we need to readapt to the plugging of a fiber optic cable. Using a category 7 cable, you're having the same way of connection and they're compatible with it, which is something that I read online and something that I've previously worked on. So I can even show it in the slide. If you go into the slide where I'm showing the category.
And would you not be concerned with the electromagnetic interference within the, as you know, the metro is, the subway is electric.
I do know what you mean by that, but that's exactly why we chose category 7. If they were working with category 5 before, category 7, the way they're manufactured, the cables, they're more expensive, obviously, but that's because they have a lot more shielding around the cable, and they're used in Ethernet specifically to protect themselves from Ethernet connections. This is actually a cable that is also used in police technology, and they use it in order to track license plates and whatnot by a company called Genetec. Well, anyways, category 7 cables are resistant enough to go against eddy currents and electromagnetic waves created by other currents.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are we done with the questions?
I'm okay, but.
Yes, yes, so am I. Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So for the participants, I will put you guys in a separate room, and the judges, you can go in your own room.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are done? Perfect. I'll call everybody else. Yes, thank you for sending me the best speaker.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Need to see the names.
I'm going to tell them to come back.
So hi everyone. So thank you for an excellent presentation. It was nice seeing all of you again. I think I've already judged you a few times already in the last, perhaps even in past competitions. I think because you sound familiar. You look familiar. So you did a good job. I however, would have liked to see maybe a little bit more details on the financial side. You know, some of the numbers. There's one number that really stuck in my mind. I think it was $292 million in number of users in 2025. You know, that just the progression. It looks logarithmic, exponential progression of number of users. I'm not sure they're all going to fit in the buses, but so I think, you know. I would have liked to have a little bit more meat, if you like, around those numbers, a little bit more justification on where the numbers come from. You know, I'm showing this example of the 292, but I mean, overall, in your financials, I think I would have liked to have a little bit more, maybe some of your assumptions in a little bit more detail about that. But I'll let my colleagues continue on the other aspects.
I'll go ahead. Well, thank you for your presentation. Thanks for taking the time to prepare it. In terms of feedback, I have two feedbacks for you, one positive and one constructive. In terms of the constructive feedback, I think you should have focused on the angry customers and the angry operators. I don't think you should have waited, as a company, I don't think you can afford to wait 7 months to implement the solution, while in the meantime, the customers are still angry and the operators are still angry. I think you could have had at least a communication strategy in the meantime to communicate what's to come and maybe present some options for the customers and for the operators. On a more positive note, I think from a technical perspective, it looks like you really thought it through. There were some aspects that you could have improved, but overall the solution, it gave us the impression that you really put a lot of time on the technical aspects of your solution. Thank you.
All right, guys. So you had a good understanding of the problem. That's good. Like I'm last year, so I might be repeating some things that Marc-André and Charbel have said. But yeah, being a little bit more explicit in how you would do the operational training and how to socialize with the operators and the customers would have been good on the presentation as well. I know it was implied in your presentation, but that would have scored a little higher there. Technology solution, you guys went in a fair amount of detail for that. That's great. You know, taking considering total cost of ownership and things like that, that's good as well. You had a good good methodology in your approach in implementing this solution, which was also good for me. Also touching using AI and data analytics. That's nice. And yeah, in general, that's pretty much the feedback I have for you guys for today. And thank you for presenting.
Thank you very much to all of you. Really appreciate the feedback.
Thank you very much.
I think that's it. Did anyone want to add?
Well, I'd just like to clarify that yes, we have seen each other in previous cases.
Yes, I thought so. You did look familiar.
We're getting better.
And Sarah, I remember the name because it's not a name you see every day. So the last name, yes, seemed familiar.
So thank you, Global Assets, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you to you. Have a good day as well. Great night.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is when? Is in 20 minutes.
Is in around 20 minutes. It starts at 6:50.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'll head back to Netflix then. So I'll be here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We are missing one participant, I believe, and then we'll be starting. For the participants, were you 3 or 4?
Leave your message. I'm trying to, I don't know where our last teammate is. I'm trying to call him right now, but we have 4.
We have 4.
Okay, perfect. I'll see on my end too if we can help him.
All right.
Okay, he said he is joining right now.
Awesome. So welcome, Flames Consulting. I'm just going to remind you of a few things. So for the presentation breakdown, you guys have 15 minutes to present, and then there's going to be a 15-minute Q&A session, and then there's going to be a 10-minute deliberation where the judges and participants are going to be in 2 different breakout rooms. And then at the end, we're going to have a 10-minute feedback period. To know how much time you guys have left, I'm going to show you guys these placards, okay? So you guys can put your PowerPoint up and start whenever you're ready.
Rabu, can you share your screen with everybody with the PowerPoint?
Are you guys ready to start?
Yes.
Okay, good luck.
Hello, everybody. My name is Puneet.
My name is Katul Soni.
My name is Rabu Gandhi.
And my name is Shriman Palati.
And we're Flame Consulting. Today, we're going to present our case on the Accenture problem.
So what is the problem? So the problem is that our client, MTC, the vehicle owners aren't comfortable with the switch to the smart card payment system, which is leading to an inconsistency between the customers and other vehicle owners. The Aller system software is a little bit having some technical difficulties as they are making it themselves. So the software they're making in-house, and the fare gates are not working.
Some of the repercussions and issues we have discovered if this problem was not fixed or remediated in time would be the community will even further dislike the Aller system as they already dislike the system. There will be a loss of a lot of profits and some data loss because some of our customers' data will not be logged correctly. The costs for the company in general will rise exponentially. And then we would have to revert back to old and outdated transit systems and we would not be as up to date as other systems in other cities and countries are. The community will lose further trust in government because the government runs these transit systems and companies. The transit system would potentially fail in the long run, and it would impact the environment.
Some of the solutions we came up with, the first one being an ATM, that was for the problem for the disease issue facing was the fact that they want to get rid of all different kinds of ticket buying conditions. So when it comes to cash, tokens, and even the pass that they were using. So we want to eliminate that in the future. But right now, the initial plan that we're proposing is that we use machines like ATMs, and we'll show you an image in a little bit where people can use cash initially to fund their Eller cards. So if people do not trust Eller cards right now, we want to gain their trust slowly by implementing small changes. As of now, we'll make cash and the Eller card being their two main ticket buying systems. So we'll make them have the comfort of also being able to use their cash if they don't want to align their bank together with the ATM yet.
Sorry. So yeah, I'm here to present about hardware. So we read about that there were some faulty devices that they are present in some of the transit facilities. So we could simply replace the faulty devices that they're present over there. For concern about the cabling issue, we could install new THWN wires. THWN stands for thermoplastic, heat resistant, waterproof, and nylon covered, which will ensure extra protection for the wires that are being used to power the devices that are being installed in the transit services. Moreover, looking on the storage side of these devices, SD cards were used initially, but as we know that SD cards in today's era are obsolete and they are pretty much conventional. So to take the toll with the ongoing technology, so we have thought about cloud storage that would not only stores the data concerned with the person's bio or any transactions, but also help them to make transactions and payments regarding the transit they are using.
So as for the network, we know that 60% of the communication and loss of profits issues that were happening in 2018, 19, and 20 with the company when they switched to having Aller create these card systems is network connectivity, losing connection, not being able to process payments and such. So in order to combat that issue, we would implement Wi-Fi 6 systems into our buses and other modes of transport, which is an 802.11ax bandwidth, which our current bandwidth that we use right now is 802.11ac with 5 gigahertz, which is the current standard. Wi-Fi 6 would allow for us to continue with the same Wi-Fi speed, so we would not have to put more money down monthly, but it would increase the current down payment costs. But keeping the same Wi-Fi speed will increase the bandwidth, distance, and connectivity issues and help us fix a lot of those issues. The goal for this network adaptation is to adapt it within the next 1 to 2 years to change out all of the faulty systems right now. And as modes of transport go in for service and etc., we would change out into the new Wi-Fi 6 systems. Our future predictions for the Wi-Fi would be to eventually use Starlink satellites by 2030, which we will go into further detail later.
Actually, could you go back to the other side, Rubu? So another solution for the software that we are implementing is the Agile method, and this we will not be doing in-house. We'll be hiring our own consultants, and they will be using the Agile software to fix our software issues like the bugs, the efficiency of the code, and incorrect translation of the business requirements. Another thing for the cloud storage is we are using Microsoft Azure. And then projected revenue. So there are 8,000 given Allen devices, but since 10% of the devices are malfunctioning, that means at a given time, only 7,200 of the Aller devices are working. And then if 10% of the devices are malfunctioning and then 25% of the customers decide to use a different device to pay the fare, that means in actuality, only about 67.5% of the users that are planning to use Aller end up actually using Aller. So the total revenue is the same every year because we are to assume that there's stagnant MTC usership growth. So as you see, there's the revenue from Aller and then the revenue that could have been with 100% efficiency. And then it goes for the years 2020 to 2025. So the next slide shows our fixed costs. So the ATM solution we are implementing, we are going to put up 100 in the fixed locations, and then the cables that we were talking about, and then the network upgrades like the Wi-Fi and the connection speed and the connectivity. And then next we have our total, which is amounted to 3.9 million. And then these are the yearly costs, which is the data storage, the software consultants, and then repairs would be 10% of the fixed costs. And then like upgrades the current connection speed to make sure that everything's like up to date. This would equate to the 33 million. And then this is the first year cash flow statement. So you have the initial cost of 3.9 million and then the first year cost of 33 million. And then the 1 billion profit. So then that leaves us with $973 million.
Some of the digital trends that we saw in the case study were talking about the fact that we need to have a disconnect between humans and machines. And that's what we're trying to promote, which is mobility at this point. And we're trying to implement that using the ATMs, which will be having buttons that clean themselves, which are called self-cleaning buttons at this point because of COVID. And all of our materials are going to be sustainable. So we're going to use Agile Consulting, like Shriman mentioned before, but the company that we're using for that is called Bigger Tech. And in the future, we also plan to implement app solutions and more app features, which will help us take out the ATMs slowly and slowly. The more we gain the trust customers and make it all just by an app use and start using just Eller as their main source of transit.
Could you go back real quick, Rubu? Thank you. To go further into the ATM details, we drew up a sketch, as you can see on the left side. It will be very similar to a normal bank ATM where you would insert your Aller card that you already have if you don't want to if you don't want to connect your bank account or insert or deposit funds through the app. You can always come to this ATM, insert cash or a credit card if you don't want to link your bank account, and choose how much you'd like to deposit into your Aller card really quickly before you use your mode of transport. You can fill your card up to as much of a time period as you would like.
So like we mentioned before, our game plan is going to be in 2021, we're going to install the ATMs as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of 2021, and start putting them into all the kind of transit stations and even multiple ones in certain locations if they required. And we're going to fix the current issues, which we talked were about the basic technology and then the basic hardware stuff. And then we're going to start implementing to the Wi-Fi 6 and then also do some slight app configurations, which can help ATM users combine those two functions together.
As for 2025, a little bit further into the future, our main goal between 2021 and 2025 would be to create to solidify our system, create reliability where there will be very minimal damage and replacement costs and defective units to make our systems run extremely smoothly for our consumers. By 2025, as we mentioned earlier, we would also like to, as the future comes, as the community starts liking and growing onto this new Aller card system, is to limit the ATMs, start removing them slowly as consumers begin to start using them less and less and needing them less and less. We also plan to implement quicker scanning systems so the cards can be scanned quicker and everything will be much smoother than it is now, and to start implementing AI, which Rubu will talk about in our future plans for 2030.
Yeah, so for 2030, that means 9 years from now, the game plan changed a little bit. Like, since we know that by that time we would have established trust with our clients, so we could remove all our ATMs, and with the revenue that we have raised over the time could be used to used as a capital source that could ensure that we could use satellite Wi-Fi, or we can launch our own satellites or hire any satellite that could ensure a Wi-Fi network on all the services provided. Since we are already relying on AI services, so app needs to be there. So there will be 100% app functionality available to all the clients that have been using the transit services. Moreover, we would be relying on the cloud storage more and more, because by this time, as the trust has been developed in the clients, so they could rely easily on more of the stuff. And since taking the AI implementation into the effect, Retina and Iris securities are taking into the account as well, to ensure that whenever they make a transaction or they are at any transit services, that is 100% secured and they could count on it.
I would also like to add that by 2030, as I mentioned earlier in our solutions slide, is for satellite Wi-Fi. Currently, the company Tesla is bringing satellite Wi-Fi to consumers and normal residential use already. So we are hoping that by 2030, we'll be able to implement satellite Wi-Fi systems like Starlink into our buses and modes of transport, which will equate to an even quicker and smoother connectivity, very low probability of losing connection, and making sure everything runs extremely smoothly and quick, as a good Wi-Fi connection is very important for our systems to run smoothly, because that was 60% of our faulty issues.
So this was our presentation on the MTC issue for implementation in the next couple of years. If you guys have any questions, please let us know.
Sure, I have a question. Could you explain to me what's the role of the ATMs again?
Yes.
So for the ATMs, what our goal here is, a lot of the consumers, as mentioned in our case statement study, is that a lot of consumers are not trusting the switching to the cards, to the Aller card system, and don't like it that much because it's a new process to learn. And as we know, human instinct, we know that we don't like change right away. Having major changes requires a learning curve, so we don't like that. So in order to mitigate that and have consumers start conforming to this new system, the ATMs would allow for, instead of paying cash right on the bus or mode of transport they want to use, they can just fill their Aller card, so they don't have to trust the Aller system with their bank account.
And how many ATMs are you projecting to install or deploy?
So we would like to install, as in our financial slide, if you can go back, we have stated that we would like to install 100 ATMs right off the bat as soon as possible, where we would install them at locations right by buses, transport, in select areas that have more traffic, and then see to expand or pull back on ATMs depending on customer usage through data.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, if you don't mind.
Oh, do you want to go, Shabbat? Yeah, you go ahead. I can wait.
All right, thanks. Well, first of all, thanks for taking time to present. I just want to follow up on the ATM systems. I'm just trying to understand which problem exactly are we solving with it? So I'm just trying to picture the workflow, the process. So I'm a customer and I get to the ATM and then I pay, and then what happens?
So our mindset on these ATMs is, as I mentioned a little bit ago, consumers, we don't like to see major change very quickly, and switching to the Aller system had quite a feedback from the news and consumers not liking the systems. So therefore, we would like to add these ATM systems so that once, if you are the consumer and you go up to the ATM and this is your first time, you can get a new Aller card under your name, or you can insert your current Aller card. Therefore, you can deposit either cash or even use your credit card if you would like onto your Aller card to use as funds for transport. Therefore, you don't have to use the app or go to any certain select locations or link your bank account. You can just do it right there before you get on the bus. Maybe say you have cash on you and you have no money in your debit card and you would like to insert funds right away. You could do that very quickly right before you get on your chosen transport or transport.
So how does this process bypass the connection issues and network issues
I could add
that some customers are having?
So basically, like, since you go to an ATM, you will get a transit pass, like instead of a card system, because like the pass system is like basically getting used to the card system initially, so that as a customer, like since I'm an old school person, if I go up to there and I say like I don't like the card system, but I know like these, like there are some now barcodes that have been issued already in the market, that when you buy a grocery, they're barcodes, right? So you will get a pass which has a barcode on it, and when you go up on a bus or any other streetcars or any other subways, you could scan that and you can use that services. So this will ensure in the mind of the customers, so now that these things are working slow and steady. So within the 9 years or 10 years of projection, we can say that we could remove the ATMs. That's why we projected like a game plan of 5 years to making that into account.
I can add to that. So you were talking about technology. So this is not like solving like any software or hardware or network problems. This is more to like give ease of access to other people, so that way they see this is like an option that's right there for you. So that way like it can increase the usership, because as you can see, the projected user growth is like 15%, then 20%, then 50%. But instead, if we put these ATMs, then we could potentially increase it to like 50%, 15%, then 30%, then like 60%. So that way, like by 2025, we could get to 100.
Okay, thank you.
So tell me, when you're talking about these growth numbers, I don't see those reflected in your revenue, like in slide 5, where you have projected revenue. I don't see this growth that you just mentioned.
Right now,
the
growth, as you can see, like I did the projected user growth, the numbers are increasing because it's based on the ALER users, as there's like the 15% for 2021, for 2022 it's 20%, 2023 it's 50%, and then 2024 it's 60%, and 2025 it's 80%.
But the first column, the total revenue is the same.
That's because it says that you can assume that there's stagnant MTC ridership growth. So I assume that as like there's the daily ridership is the same 2021 to 2025.
No new riders, just they're switching. That's what you're trying to show here in column 2, is that these riders who are not increasing in number are just paying differently. That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, because in our graph it says that we are to assume stagnant MTC ridership growth.
Okay, and sorry, someone wanted to add something, one of your teammates?
I just wanted to add the same thing Shriman did.
Okay, thank you. And so now if I move on to your slide number 7, so in your slide 4, you were talking about, no, 5, sorry, revenue. And now in your slide 5, you now have $1 billion in profits. Slide 8, profit $1 billion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, correct.
So how do you go from slide 5 to slide?
Well, the previous slides like 6 and 7 show 6 shows like the initial costs for like the ATMs and the cables and the network upgrades. And then if you see the next slide, which is like the yearly cost for the data storage from Microsoft Azure, the software components, which is the agile methodology, and then like repairs and all of these, they equate to like the 30 million.
Okay, and you end up with $1 billion in profits on slide 8, slide 7. Okay. And when you talk about the agile methodology here, you're paying to buy agile methodology.
No, we are.
I'm not sure I understand.
We are gonna source it out to a third party, which I think Puneet mentioned was the company name of it, Big River.
So you're going to buy agile? Is that what you're?
We're going to outsource our software system to Big River Tech, and they are going to fix all the necessary bugs and efficiency of code.
And they're going to be buying agile to do that?
Yeah.
No, we're just going to hire them, sir, just as a consultant agency.
But what's the agile part? Is Agile something that you're purchasing?
No, Agile, the method of Agile is going to be implemented through the company that they're going to give us advice on. So we're just hiring a consultants agency to help us implement our long-term goals by 2030. And we're going to be using that third-party agency to help implement our goals.
And we chose Agile, which allows like multiple solutions to be implemented really fast. So that way, just in case like when someone swipes their card, like there's other solutions that come up faster.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Glenn wanted to add something maybe.
No, I think Charbel is ready.
Yeah, I have a question regarding your fixed costs and your yearly costs. Could you please elaborate on the assumptions that you have used to get to them?
So the ATM systems, we are buying 100 of them. So that's the unit cost of 3,000. And then the cables. So we assumed that there needs to be about 10 feet of cable. And then we looked at our hardware category and it's $50 per device. And then the next one was the network upgrades. So these are based on the connectivity and then the ability to assign an IP address. And then we did that for each of the 8,000 locations. And then that got us the fixed costs and then yearly costs. So the data storage, so we went on Microsoft Azure and we did some like numbers and statistics on what like how much like usership and projected like usership and data that we would require. And then the software consultants, we based it on the idea that if we were to give it out to another company, then it would be around like the $3 million. And then the repairs, we said that that would be about 10% of the fixed cost. And then the connection speed upgrades are based on the network, which is extra $10 a month per device.
I'm curious in terms of the data storage, what usage numbers did you come up with to get to those amounts?
So I think it was 100 terabytes, I believe. And
100 petabytes, which would be 100 million gigabytes, plus that would be Microsoft's rate monthly around 1.2 or 3-ish million dollars a month, plus more for data writing and reading.
So you guys can't get a discount. That's a big number.
It's because it was cloud storage and current Microsoft cloud storage with their data requiring 100 petabytes, which is just an estimate. Depending on how much we would actually need to use, it could the number could come down, but as an estimate, but depending on how much data we would need to read, write, and store through cloud systems would be around that much.
Also, I would like to add one thing, like as per like since we are dealing with Microsoft and since the cloud storage is a very new thing in the market, but over the time we could see that the amount that we are spending on data storage will reduce in number because with AI taking its toll, the cloud storage will gonna be the new era of invention or the new era of tech that all people are gonna rely on. So it's gonna.
Therefore, adding on to what Rubu just mentioned, which would also decrease data storage on the cloud costs as it becomes more available to the consumers and businesses.
Okay, so I'd like to know like why the choice of the cable. You guys mentioned the cable, the THWN. Obviously, you mentioned some of the capabilities on the construction of the cable, but what are the network speeds or anything around that type of cable?
So basically, that cable is mainly concerned with the weather conditions and all the other things that we gonna experience. The network connections were more or less similar to the conventional based wires that have been used. Like if you use a normal wire to power that a particular device that has been installed on any of the services that you're providing, like be it subways or be straight cars. So like what we thought about that wire is like that it has the more capability to stand the adverse weather conditions that a target audience or the target area has. Like Canada has adverse weather, as we all know, quite frequently. So that could usually like be used to combat that.
Yeah, we have 4 seasons. Yeah.
And also expanding on that, in order to increase the Wi-Fi speed ability, as you had mentioned, with the upgraded Wi-Fi 6 units, there would be Cat 6 or 7 Wi-Fi Ethernet cables used, which would allow upwards of 1 gigabit per second speeds.
Okay, so it's a THWN like / Cat7 wire.
That is not the Cat7 wire. So the wires would come along with the Wi-Fi 6 upgrades, and that THWN wire would be for power and etc. Powering and other connecting everything together.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
I'm good.
The other judges, is everyone good?
I'm good, thanks.
Yes,
Perfect.
I'm good as well. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. So you can go to your judges room, and for the participants, I'll assign you to the teams room for the deliberation period. Thank you, everyone.
So Gabrielle, we should all be coming back now.
Perfect. I'll message the participants to come back. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you for sending me the best speaker.
I submitted my scores, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is everyone here? Yes. Okay. So judges, when you guys are ready to start deliberate feedback, you may begin.
Oh, we forgot to agree on who was going to go first. I guess it's going to be me now. I'm already talking. So thank you so much for trying. I know you tried very hard and you gave us a good presentation. I think there's a few aspects. I'm more on the business side, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I think there's some aspects of from a business point of view of how you are going to deliver this and how the financials are going to work. I wasn't convinced. I see that you did you came up, you gave us the numbers, but I would have liked to have a little bit more understanding of where these numbers came from, not just putting in numbers from the case, but also looking at how this is going to be a justified investment in the organization and how this is going to help me to perform better. So I think on that aspect of it, I wasn't very convinced as well. So from the implementation point of view, from the business side, I think that was not your strongest point. So I would have liked to see that improved.
I guess I'll go next. Well, thank you for taking the time to prepare the case and present it to us. Something I would have liked to see was more on the AI side, on the data analytics side. I mean, you spoke a bit about the data, but you did not present any plans on what to do with it. I mean, having all this much data in the database, I think it's an opportunity, and you could have gotten extra points had you thought of a solution on that. There's no limit with your estimates. I think were $30-some million per year. So I mean, we're talking. I'm not sure in terms of numbers how much data you had, but I mean, with so much data, you could go into data analytics, understanding the behaviors of your customers, how they're using the system, maybe even connect with the devices to see how you can maintain the devices to avoid any problems, any issues. So I think that's a path you could have or you should next time consider, because it would get you more points.
All right, guys. So you guys had a good understanding of the problem. However, what threw me off here is like your ATM solution. It's you have to understand the demographics of users of a public transport system. Generally, they're much younger, and you guys, how many times did you go to the ATM? Very rarely, right? So that sort of like threw me off a little bit. But I can see you guys were thinking of how to engage people to use the system more. But maybe the ATM wasn't the right solution. I like some of the new things, even though the ATM is not the right solution. Thinking about having self-cleaning ATMs and making sustainable ATMs, that was a nice touch. It would have been nice to have a more detailed implementation plan. I know you guys had bullet points here, and we're going through them, but maybe something a little bit more detailed as well. You know, in the case study, there were paragraphs that were talking about operator issues, you know, like with customers and things like that. It would have been nice to address that a little bit as well in your presentation, how to, you know, socialize this with the operators and get them on board a little bit more. As well as the corporate image, like, you know, MTC was having like lots of bad press. It would have been nice to sort of try and come up with a slide saying how your solution would improve the corporate image. As well as, you guys, it would be beneficial if you'd have like, you can have a few appendix slides in the back, right? That you don't necessarily have to show us, but you can have more detailed information in these slides. You know, when it comes to your revenues or your calculations, you can have them in an appendix and keep them there. And when we ask for questions, you can pop it up and show us that. That would be beneficial in any future presentations. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think if you would have had these appendix, you know, with the extra financials, that would have probably addressed all of the comments that I made earlier. One thing also, and I'm sorry if I sound so negative, you know, it's been a long day. You're the last team and it's late at night, and we've all had so that's why I'm maybe not as excited as I would be if it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but the agile, I wasn't sure. I was a little confused. So I used to be a developer in another life, and I'm something called a Scrum Master, which is an agile thing. So I'm familiar with agile, and I was confused. I'm not sure. Like, that's why I asked you also the question. So I'm not sure if how you define and how you looked at the, you know, use of agile in your example. I wasn't convinced. So that's also, like Glenn mentioned, maybe that's something that, you know, having an appendix with maybe explaining a little bit, you know, the different cycles, or how you would do the sprints or the burn down rate to go through the different features. So I think there's also perhaps an opportunity for additional information that could have made that a little bit more clear. Because I mean, it sounds like, you know, the engineering, the solution engineering part of it, you guys, you know, that's probably a very strong point for you. But that didn't, I didn't come out as good as it could have, I think.
I had a small little comment, if you guys don't mind. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to look at our business plan, but yesterday we only presented our business plan, and they told us to do a PowerPoint. So today we made a combination of both.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't. When we vote, when we grade you, we don't use the business plan at all. It's not part of the evaluation.
And actually, if I may add, the documents, they're usually uploaded to the platform a couple of minutes before your presentation. So keep in mind, we only have a 15-minute window to listen to your presentation. So if you don't have the extra slides to show us, you may know your numbers very well, but that's the only time frame that we have to get all the information that we can from you. I mean, I did open the file here, but I had it open 2 minutes before because it wasn't available before that. So even though I have it open, I did not have time to go through it.
Yeah, Gabriel, is that something that is normally explained to the participants about about creating a business plan? Is that something that is normally?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question, sadly.
No.
But everything should be in the guidelines or in the instructions, specifications.
Yeah, because also last year, or maybe maybe it was you guys last year who did the same thing with the business plan. This sounds so familiar.
It was actually our first presentation for this competition in the preliminary round, and I think
yes.
And you told us that because we didn't have a coach, we weren't aware of some of the guidelines that maybe other people were.
Okay, that's where I know you guys from. Yeah,
We would
yeah,
love
I
to
was
have
on
you
the
again.
jury, and I think we told you about the not to use a business plan. We told you that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what we did last time. So we only presented our business plans since it had a lot of details, and we were told that you need to have a PowerPoint. So we made a combination today, and apparently the concoction did not work for us in our favor.
No.
But
We've
so
been
what would
trying
you
to.
recommend? You said having
No
appendixes.
business
Do you
plan.
think
Yes,
that-
appendixes. Yes.
Yes, that would be great. Like when we ask a question and you pop it up, that would score a lot of points.
Oh yeah, way more.
Yeah.
Charbel, did you look at the business plan? Was it?
Honestly, I scrolled quickly. I saw that some of the tables were imported to the presentation, but I didn't have time to look at more than that. So yeah, I mean, it's just that it was obvious in the Q&A that when you were answering some of the questions, it was obvious to me that you knew what you were talking about. But since it wasn't in front of us, we couldn't follow. For me, at least, some of the answers were confusing, not because it wasn't making sense or it wasn't good enough, but because for us, we didn't have that to actually follow.
So would you recommend next time?
I think Gabrielle is telling us we're done.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stop you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Flip Consulting, for coming for presenting, and have a great night.
Yeah. Burn strong, guys. Burn strong.
And no business case next time, Puneet. No business case.
Thank you.
Just
And I'd
the,
also like
just the
to
PowerPoint.
add, thank you, judges, for your time and looking through our case and our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck next time.
Thank you. Have a great night.
So the judges, there's one more thing you guys have to do. Just send me as a private message who has the best team chemistry.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
I already sent mine. Did you receive
Yeah,
it?
I saw
it.
Is it
individual?
I'm pretty sure we all have the same one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
I forget what their name is, but
It's
I remember
glass something for Glasgow, I guess.
From the one's from Ireland, right?
Yeah. Somewhere in the UK, yeah.
I don't think they're the UK part of Ireland. I think they're the other part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, guys, like what do they win if somebody comes up on top? What do they win in this competition?
It's a monetary amount.
Do we know how much? Yeah. Do we know how much?
I think we released the amounts on Monday. So the first one would be $700. The second is $500, and the third is $250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also they get something they can put on their CV that looks really good.
Right. Yeah.
Very often they even get job offers.
Right.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Last year the winners the cases had to do with aeronautics, and I think one of the guys told me they offered jobs to some of them.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming. The whole ENGCOMM team really appreciates it.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys are back, I'm back on Friday. So.
All right. See you guys.
Okay,
nice
bye-bye.
meeting you. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
See you all.